Good morning. Just to go through some of the tools that we actually use to test our surfaces and soil profile as well. So first of all, we have the Clegg hammer here, which measures the actual firmness of the surface. Now this is quite important in regards to how the ball reacts to surface and what control you get out of it. So there's some guidelines that have been tested and approved. So anything over 130 gravities, the ball becomes extremely difficult to control on the surface. So our guidelines are between 100 and 120. Moisture has a great deal of influence on the surface as well. So I'll just run through the two tools that we've got. So this is the Clegg hammer, and the way that we test the surface, we lift this probe up to the level point there and then drop it. Right, that gives us a reading. If Ryan comes in there, we're at 118 gravities at the end of November. So firmness wise, we are on the mark there. So we check about 20 points of all the greens with this. So we'll just go over and do it again. So if you look at it there, we're at 113. Now you may ask yourself why that might vary so much. So you've got to think of what's under that part of the green compared with that part of the green as well. Now this is where the other probe, the pogo, can influence your decision making on how we actually manage it. So that could be more moisture within that area compared with the other area, or more organic content which holds moisture. So that's why we sand to reduce the organic content. So it gives us an idea of what applications and what methods of maintenance we can do to improve the surfaces and make them more consistent. So this is the pogo, and this measures quite a few things. So if I actually insert that into the green, and then I'll show you the readings. So that pogo there, linked with my phone, brings up the readings of moisture. So we're at 20% moisture there. And then the column to the right of that, EC, which is electrical conductivity of the soil, that has a lot of bearings on how nutrients are uptaken, as well as moisture being released to the plant. Then the canopy temperature, which is 12.83. It's quite a mild day here at the moment, but the soil temperature is running at 8.5, so we're not actually getting growth at the moment, or very small amount of growth. Grass plants grow at around 10 degrees. And then obviously we've got another index there for salinity. Obviously that would have a big major part on how the grass performs as well. So if we just move this probe over and reset it close to the Clegg, and that gives you there a reading of 23% moisture. So that's why it's a little bit softer. Now how we manage the surface in regards to that is, if we want to try to get moisture out of the profile or down through the profile quicker, there's a product that we use to actually draw the moisture away from the surface to make it more consistent again. So we would apply that mainly in the winter time to remove that moisture, to make it a more ideal environment for the grasses that we're trying to actually encourage and produce at Portmarnock here. So moisture levels obviously have a lot to do with what grass species actually thrive in. So what our range is around about 10% moisture going up to 25%. That favours the development of fescue grasses. So we're within the framework, but ideally from the last reading that we took, we were down at 20 rather than 23%. So it is difficult to get the consistency, but that's what we're striving to get for. So they are just two of the tools that we actually use to plan our maintenance regimes, as well as getting initial readings on how the surfaces are performing. So the pogo, which we talked about there for monitoring moisture and soil ECs, soil temperature and canopy temperature, actually gets stored in the cloud. So we do, during the summer, we take about 20 readings per green, so we're getting an average, but that is actually stored in the cloud, so we can access that data to give us a background how the greens are performing, as well as how they're changing, because we're trying to change the environment of the soil to favour the grass species that we're trying to encourage. So that gets all stored within the cloud, and we can access that at any point. It also records manually by typing in the Clegg Harbour reading, so we've got all that within the cloud that can be accessed at any point. Now, we've been doing this for the past 3 years, so we've got quite a good database of how the greens perform at different times of the year and what applications we need to be applying to reduce the moisture or hold the moisture, depending on the type of weather that we're actually getting. So these are the tools that we use. I hope this has been a little bit of insight into what we're trying to do, and thank you very much.